All right, Ryan Horvat on the Dan Schani YouTube stream, in which I am debuting my new look. I've got the few thinning hairs I have. I'm trying to make bangs out of.
All right, so we were having a conversation before we started taping here, and you started doing this with your hair, and I was trying to figure out what or who you look like. You know who you look like? You
Cricket.
look No, you look yes. Wait, you guys watch that? No, you look like Timmy from South Park. Hit it.
No.
That's how he's got his hair. The hair it is. It's similar. Hold on, let me see.
No, I look like
You look
Cricket
like
from Sunny. Yeah. All right, so that's fun with video. But that's why we have a YouTube stream, and that's why Dan Schani brings it to you. Dan Schani Insurance. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Ryan Horvat, ladies and gentlemen, who will be joining us throughout the weeks, throughout the NFL with picks. And we're actually going to try to do it so that we actually do give you the Thursday pick. A lot of feedback. People are like, oh, I love the picks, but I need a Thursday pick. So we'll have a Thursday pick for you.
Yeah, see, I've always wanted to do the Thursday pick. So we'll do Wednesdays, which I'm all in for. And also because we got college games on Thursdays every once in a while that are decent. We have Friday.
I might like only air the Thursday pick. I don't know. It depends on what else is going on. You might get bumped today.
If it's a big Thursday, okay. Wait, today I might get bumped because, if we're talking college football, my two favorite games are tonight.
No. This is airing Friday.
Oh. All right, restart the show.
So we're doing that, but this week there are some Thursday college games, which we're going to be unable to. What are the games you like for Thursday?
Well, hey, if you're listening to this on Friday and you have a time machine and you want to win yourself some money, actually, you know what? It doesn't really matter because a lot of these numbers are gone. I bet the under in Florida, Utah, under 47.5. Graham Mertz, the starting quarterback for Florida. I don't really love the wide receiver room. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. And I think their defense is actually going to be decent this season. I don't know how good they're going to be. Their projected win total is 5.5. But they should be able to run the ball a little bit. But Utah is obviously tough defensively. They're top 15 in the country every year. And Utah doesn't look like Cam Rising. In fact, I know for a fact Cam Rising's not going to play in this game. So they're going to go with a backup quarterback. So I like a low-scoring game. Bet it at 47.5. I'd still bet the under at 44, which is probably where it closes. And then I might be on the wrong side here. I bet Minnesota against Nebraska. I think Matt Rule's probably going to turn Nebraska around, but it always takes them 1 year. Year one, it's always about building the culture. They never really put a good product on the field. That's what happened at Baylor. I believe he won one game year one. Stop before that, won 2 games, maybe 1 game before that. So I like Minnesota. They lost some guys, but I think they're going to be able to run the ball right down Nebraska's throat. So that was the 2 that I liked tonight. But there's plenty I like this weekend, and just a lot that I like this season. Love the Badgers. And, I've come around, and I'm really high on the Packers this season. Bet them to win the NFC North, went over on the win total, but my favorite bet is Matt LaFleur. It was 16-1 when I bet it, Coach of the Year. I think I've talked about this with you. But remember they would do the piece in the Ringer. It would be like Kevin O'Connell, and it'd be, why isn't Matt LaFleur getting Coach of the Year love? Because the Packers didn't make the playoffs. They fire McCarthy, and then they win 13 games, 3 consecutive seasons. But the reason he didn't get any Coach of the Year love was because Rodgers was MVP back-to-back years. That first year, they kind of over-exceeded expectations. I thought probably he should have won it that year, if anything. But now this year, man, nobody knows. We all think Jordan Love's going to be pretty good. He looks damn good. But now, if he wins double-digit games, they win the NFC North with the worst odds. He has to get some Coach of the Year love. So I love that price more than I thought. So I'm all about the Packers and all about the Badgers this year. I think it's going to come down to Wisconsin, Iowa, that game for the West. And I love that it's at Camp Randall. And I don't love, but as a Badger fan, Tanner Mordecai didn't look good in the spring game. And
that was 5 months ago.
Right. And he's learning a new offense, and they're still going to run the ball, man. Braylon Allen's still there. They still have a loaded backfield. It's going to come down to that game against Iowa. And I don't know how healthy Cade McNamara is going to be this season. I like Iowa this year, but if he's not healthy, they could be screwed because that offense last year averaged 17 points per game. They bring him in from Michigan. He started 15 games at Michigan before he lost his job to J.J. McCarthy. He completed 65% of his passes, I believe. Nobody's done that at Iowa since I was in high school. So, if they do that, they could be tough. I think it comes down to that game, but I'm excited for football to get going. I'm so sick of baseball.
Well, I do. I want to talk to you about football, and that's like, but okay, this Cubs Brewers series. Since you're a Cubby guy,
yeah.
You know this little account that all you guys stand over, Bleacher Nation or whatever.
I don't. Brett Taylor, I do not like. Okay, I don't know if I should say this. Well, yeah, I don't work with him. I don't like that guy. I only like and bookmark his shit just to go back and. He's like a ridiculous child when they're losing and stuff. See,
he's like every bad account that is out there funneled into one. And so he's been on this thing about the Brewers are the luckiest team ever.
I don't think
so here's Brewers fan. Here's what's going on. This is what I realized. And you're like on both sides because you're a Packer guy, but a Cubs guy. Yeah. Brewers fans, we like scoreboard watch the Cubs. And we've got the lead right now. But Cubs fans are like watching every pitch of every Brewer game to be like mad about something. And it's the same with Bears. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go on 670 The Score because they want to talk Wisconsin. We never had Chicago. Like, we have them on once a week. But I'm on like random days just to like, hey, what's going on in Wisconsin? Chicago is obsessed with Wisconsin, even though they think they're the big brother and they got more people. Oh, God, my camera's being real stupid. But I am still here.
It's okay. That happens.
So even though now I'm not in HD, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And I was on a good rant. But I just feel like so the analogy I used the other day was Brewers fans, Wisconsin fans are on one side of the street walking, and we'll be like, hey, there's those Chicago guys, those dorks. And then if Chicago fans are on one side of the street, they'll be like, hey, Wisconsin, fuck you. And then they'll like come over to us and punch us in the dick.
Yeah.
It's like they're obsessed. Chicago is obsessed with Wisconsin. And now I'm seeing this not just in this week 1 battle, but also, the Brewers play the Cubs. And it's like Tuesday night felt like a playoff game. Wednesday felt like a play. The games the Brewers lost felt like a playoff game. And then Monday was just, they didn't.
See, you know what's funny about all that? And I completely agree. And that's what like sports radio is, especially now. Like, let's be honest, like it's for the meatball fan. It's like, let's have Winkler on. We'll fire up the Chicago people. Oh, fuck Milwaukee, small market. But yet like Wisconsin's a great place. And the people from Chicago are in Door County constantly. They're in the Dells constantly. They love Wisconsin. And here's what it comes down to, right? I feel like in like Bleacher Nation, that's a fanboy account. See, if you're a real Cubs fan, I always talk about this, man. Like, if you're a real Cubs fan, or my buddies that are Bears fans that I text with, that I talk shit about or talk shit with during the football season, all they want is the Bears to have a winning season. Like they're like, man, we're so jealous of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Even if it's one Super Bowl with Favre and one with Rodgers, we haven't won one since '85. They're not like trying to shit talk me like, oh, fucking Jordan Love sucks. No, my buddies are all like, fucking shit. Like, Jordan Love's going to be good for another decade. We don't know if Justin Fields is going to be any good. This offensive line is shit. The defense is no good. Is Eberflus even the coach of the future? But I feel like that's the difference between like, I don't know, like smart fans and like the meatball fans. And I think it's okay to be a meatball fan. And I think it's okay to, also be a realistic fan. Like, here's what I'm saying. I don't think the Brewers, I'm never like, oh, this team's so fucking lucky. What I say with the Brewers is, okay, really good pitching rotation, pretty good bullpen every year. But how the fuck do they continue to dominate the Cubs like this and win the NL Central? Especially after 2016, I thought that Cubs team was going to be around a decade. And instead, all those guys, they're all gone. And the Brewers, like Christian Yelich isn't Christian Yelich from 2017, 2018. We thought he was going to be better than Mike Trout. And he's not that player anymore. He's not a bad player, but he's not going to hit 50 homers ever again. They find ways to win games, and that's why I always hype up the Brewers more than I do the Cubs. Like I keep saying this. I almost don't want the Cubs to win the World Series this year because all I've done about this, like with this team, is shit on them for the majority of the season. And if they do make a run, that means David Ross is going to be the manager for a couple more years. And I think David Ross really sucks. I think this team's winning because the lineup's damn good. They take walks. They, for the first time in a decade, hit with runners in scoring position. The rotation, Kyle Hendricks has been really good. Stroman's hurt right now, but Justin Steele's the real deal. Pretty much everybody except for Tyone, he blows. Like the other day, I didn't think they should have taken Sister Jean off the mound. She has better shit than him this year. But still, like, I think Craig Counsell's probably the best manager in the National League. I think he's really good. I think Gabe Kapler's really good, too, for what he's given in San Francisco. But they just find ways to win. And if I trust anybody, I trust the Brewers more than the Cubs to get it done this year. So, yeah, I look at the shit talking. I kind of have fun with it. I mean, I love beating the Brewers. I'm not going to lie. I would love to see the Cubs make a run, but at the same time, I don't know if this team's good enough. I don't know that the Brewers are either, because I watched the Braves and I watched the Dodgers, and I know it's baseball and anything can happen, but those two teams are so fucking good compared to everybody.
Yeah, that's where Brewers fans are at. I think we're optimistic that we can have a nice run, but as soon as, like, that's just the ceiling that we can't climb.
Right, dude. The Cubs aren't going to trot. The Cubs aren't going to trot Kyle Hendricks and fucking Tyone and these dudes out there against that Braves lineup. You know what I mean? Like, with the Brewers, at least, that's why I would trust them almost to make the deeper run, even though I don't like the lineup as much, is just because of the rotation. The problem is Freddie Peralta is a wild card. You never know what you're going to get. Corbin Burns is good, but he's obviously not Cy Young Corbin Burns. Brandon Woodruff. I mean, that's the thing, like, with the Brewers, is they keep getting it done. And the top guys, you know what I mean? I mean, you obviously watch. I'm all in on college football right now. When I do watch baseball, it's usually the Cubs, but I don't know. I don't know how the hell the Brewers continue to do it. I think it says a lot about Craig Counsell as a manager and, you know, them working with what they're given, especially because you look at the payroll. They can't spend a bunch of money. They're cheap as shit.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just another way to remind me that outside of Wisconsin, there's not too many other cities I like. Besides, of course, the great city of Omaha, Nebraska, home of Omaha Steaks, where you can type in Bart in the search bar and get a package of meat with the butcher's cut filet mignons, the air-chilled boneless chicken breast, the bacon rack pork chops, the gourmet jumbo franks. They throw in 8 more burgers, 8 more franks. It's listed for $260. Get that promo code in there. Type me in the search bar. Chops it down to $129, and you get all that meat. Yum, 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 yummy. OmahaSteaks.com. Put Bart in the search bar. All right.
Hey, from Horvat, hashtag not an ad. My mom, for our wedding anniversary and for my birthday, always sends the package, the Omaha package. And the best part about it, too, is we'll just, like, throw it in the freezer. And then on a Wednesday, it's like, hey, what do you want to eat? And we'll have, like, the hot dogs, the gourmet dogs. We'll have the steaks. We'll have the desserts. And you just toss that stuff. We got the Ninja, which is great. It's the air fryer, but also the grill. In college, you know, I had the George Foreman, and I'd get excited. And then I'd be like, you know what? Can't do steaks on the George Foreman. The chicken kind of tastes like rubber. But this Ninja, again, hashtag not an ad. In fact, I don't have any ads. With the air fryer, and the air fryer, oh, especially college football Saturday, you throw some fucking onion rings in there. It's the way to do it.
All right, I'll get to college in a minute. The Packers, I think it was funny. I think a few people thought of you with your Goody in the mix picture that you would always tweet, where he's got is, you know, like that 90s rom-com picture.
Yeah.
The article that I read from Ryan Wood was that the Packers being the mystery team for Jonathan Taylor was like someone in their front office talked to a scout or vice versa. It was just like, hey, you guys interested in the Packers, whatever. What's interesting, why I wanted to bring this up, is because a lot of people are thinking, oh, you know, are they down on AJ Dillon? And, you know, I still feel like AJ Dillon's had an underwhelming on-field career.
Yeah.
There was this stat I saw. This is from Nathan Yonke, PFF. Highest graded running backs by offensive PFF grade over the last 3 years. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard. That's the top 5. 6 is AJ Dillon. 7 is Aaron Jones. 8 is Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Dillon, like, is he every 3rd and 1, he falls down 5 yards behind. He's not like, oh, wait till December. We got like one AJ Dillon game in the last 3 years. I just think, like, sometimes he's running in quicksand, man. And so if the Packers are looking for another running back, if that's why they kept this Wilson kid, like, I don't want to get too heavy in the 3 deep with you because I know you do that enough, but
No, I mean, so with AJ Dillon,
if someone says who's more likely to be on the team next year, Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, Jones is like everyone's assumed Jones is going to be gone for years. I don't know that they want to keep AJ Dillon.
What if they're just both gone? I mean, that's probably the way to do it. Unfortunately, it's the NFL. You don't really want running backs past 26. I was kind of surprised that they paid Aaron Jones. They brought Aaron Jones back. With AJ Dillon, I think he's a good back. He's not a great back, and he was drafted in the 2nd round, which is pretty early for a running back to be taken. And there was like the knocks, obviously, out of Boston College. Like, he's not your modern NFL back because he doesn't catch balls out of the backfield, but he does. The problem with AJ Dillon, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not like Mike Allstott. Sometimes I get frustrated because a linebacker or a defensive back or a safety, like he'll get taken down by 1 or 2 guys. Like I want to see AJ Dillon having those Jerome Bettis type runs where he's got 4 guys on his back. You know what I mean? And he's hitting the hole with those big ass legs. And sometimes, like you said, he just falls down. I do like the way he's been running the ball though here in the preseason. Short sample size. I know they've been pretty honest with his running style. They want him to have a big year. They wanted him to change some things up, but also in his defense, right? They don't use him the right way. Like I want to see AJ Dillon. I mean, we wanted to see Aaron Rodgers under center. You know, AJ Dillon's your goal line back, little I formation maybe, but they use him weird ways, like shotgun 11 personnel. So maybe this year will be his year, but he has had an underwhelming start to his career. Like he's been good. He just hasn't been what we wanted him to be. But I always thought it was funny. Everybody's like, oh, Matt LaFleur gets his Derrick Henry. When Matt LaFleur was calling plays that year in Tennessee, he never fucking used Derrick Henry. So I didn't really expect him to use him the right way.
Well, and I think with Jones,
I do think though, man, like you can't have Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, and Jonathan Taylor on the roster. I would do that. I would love it.
Well, yeah, it'd be hilarious.
You could use Aaron Jones as your gadget guy. Aaron Jones is not a 3-down back. I love Aaron Jones. I mean, maybe he could be, right? But Aaron Jones can't handle 15 to 20 touches per game. His body, he just can't take that type of beating. He's getting older. And I love Aaron Jones, but he fucking fumbles the ball too much in big spots. Like, let's look at some playoff losses where everybody's going to blame Aaron Rodgers. AJ Dillon, you know, whatever. Jonathan Taylor, I still think has a couple good years left in him. So I get it. Like they were just probably doing their due diligence. Like, hey man, he's a playmaker. He's from Wisconsin. He owns a bunch of Toppers pizzas. Let's maybe bring him home.
Better have a few good years in him. He's 24.
Yeah, but he's a running back. I mean, you know what I mean? And what I always said about Jonathan Taylor, I wasn't worried that he didn't like catch passes at Wisconsin. I was worried about the amount of carries, like the workload. Yeah. These guys, not everybody, there's no Adrian Petersons anymore. That would be my only concern, you know, but I would have loved it, to be honest. Even if they kept AJ Dillon, I would have loved it. But
well, one problem is like how I talk about Draymond Green and that there's no other way where Draymond Green has a better career than the one he had, where he got drafted, where he went, the team around him. He is in the best case scenario for his, like that worked out. Some players get to that place. Some players never do. And I think Aaron Jones, like he has a better career. He goes down. He's more of a, if he's somewhere else, it just with the Packers, they haven't relied on him. They haven't needed to. You know, when I first started saying that he could be like Alvin Kamara, like, you know, Aaron Jones should be a guy that's doing Austin Eckler type things. But the Packers, like, use them on, like, they really, really, all right, we're only going to use the good China when the in-laws are here. They've been like that with him.
Well, what sucks for him is, I mean, his first couple years, McCarthy didn't really know how to use him. And then last year he had a career year, but nobody will remember it because the team sucked and they were so frustrating. You know what I mean? Like last year was actually his best year. I mean, man, he was that little run they had where they were 13-3 those first 3 years with LaFleur. He was so freaking fun. You'll never forget the Minnesota game where he waves goodbye. I got the sweatshirt actually in my closet right now. But I mean, he could have a big year this year, and he's probably still got a couple good years. It's hard to say with a running back. You just never know. I mean, with wide receivers too, because when they drop off, they just kind of drop off. But hopefully they use them the right way this year because that'll help out Jordan Love. Because I mean, I'm a little bit worried. Not about Jordan Love. I think he's going to be good. I'm just a little bit worried about the youngest wide receiver room in the league. They don't have a veteran in that room, which I didn't really care about until they started dealing with injuries before we even hit fucking week 1. Like Romeo Dobbs not knowing if he's going to be available week 1 is concerning because I think he's wide receiver number 1. Christian Watson, I love, but he struggles to stay on the field. And I don't want to see those drops that we saw the first couple of weeks of the season. I think Jaden Reed's going to be a really good player. He could be that gadget guy, but he's a rookie. Like Torrey, who the hell knows? I can't do it with fucking DeGuara, dude. Please, for the love of God, can Tucker Kraft or Casey Musgrave's brother Luke, could one of those guys be good? Because I can't do it with DeGuara. God bless Andy Herman. I feel like he's also, like, I watch his stuff. I think he does a really good job. I feel like he's also there with DeGuara. DeGuara threw a block 2 years ago, and it's like Cubs fans with David Bodie. Guy hit a grand slam 4 years ago, and people will always love him for it. DeGuara threw one block against Minnesota that people are creaming in their pants about still 4 years later.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe he's still on this team. He's still napping through the draft.
Hey, let me say this about the Packers. If the defense is half as good as we expected them to be last year, they win the division.
Well, when I lost the thing with you, I took the Packers to lose week 1. They can't lose. Like I don't. We'll talk more about it next week, but I can't. This is maybe the biggest week 1 game of all time.
In the fans' minds, week 1 means jack shit. Like there's going to be some weird shit that happens week 1. You know?
I'm starting to think you want to talk about Thursday game. I might think Detroit goes down to KC and gets a dub.
I think Detroit beats Kansas City. I think my hottest take is I think that the Commanders, I don't know if they lose. Arizona's at least going to cover. I think something weird like that's going to happen, though. Like somebody's going to get beat week 1.
I was just doing my pick'em, splashsports.com/Winkler, and sign up. I have a $5 pick'em along with my $20 survivor. But I was just doing my pick'em, and I picked so if it's not the Lions, the crazy upset is going to be Titans beating the Saints.
No, that's not even. No, hear me out. Hear me out, right? You got to get wild, right? If you want to win this league, go with the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Commanders.
Ow, no chance.
All right. Well, here's what I'm saying. Don't go. No. Let me redo that, right? For Survivor, don't go with the Commanders because they're playing the Cardinals and the Cardinals just cut Colt McCoy and they're not going to have Kyler and they're projected to win 3 games this season. Because hear me out. It's Survivor, money line. Like everybody in the world is going to expect the Commanders to win that game. In what world, in what universe are the Commanders 7-point favorites against anybody? And do you really trust that team? I think the week 1 Survivor is the Baltimore Ravens. And I think they're 12 games. I think Lamar's throwing 40 touchdowns, a lot of 11 personnel. Zay Flowers is going to be the best rookie receiver. OBJ is going to have a resurgence, although he was awesome in that Super Bowl before he tore his ACL. I'm actually most concerned about the defense for the Ravens, but I just feel like everybody's going to pick against Arizona, and everybody's going to bet against Arizona, and they might fuck around and like win that game. I think Washington is going to be shit this season. And it's not a knock on Sam Howell. That offensive line stinks. Ron Rivera should have retired 8 years ago. I don't even know that I trust this new owner after seeing that fucking handshake that him and Joe Buck had. You know, I mean,
Joe's hand was out there for a considerable amount of time. I would have gone for the handshake. It's like Joe's hand was just sitting there.
Should have just dapped him up. When in denial, just dap him up. Just be cool, man. I think he was loaded. I think he was hammered.
Well, Josh Harris?
Yeah, I think he had a couple daddy drinks.
Oh, definitely. All right, so we'll get more into the picks next week. Big college weekend. Interesting college weekend because there's like games all the time. It's like way better than week 0. So there's a bunch of games on Thursday, which I guess we'll skip. But there's games Friday night, including Michigan State's in action, Louisville, Georgia Tech. Then Saturday, there's a good slate of games. And then on Sunday, there's this weird triple header on a Sunday where it's like Northwestern, Rutgers, Oregon State, San Jose State, and then LSU, Florida State, the big one at night, Clemson on Duke on Monday. So This is a great way. If last week was just the tiniest little appetizer, I mean, from Thursday night through Monday, there is college football on a bunch. I think what's got to be the big one? LSU, Florida State. Are there any Saturday that pop off the screen?
So I would say the big games this weekend that I'm most excited for. We get South Carolina against North Carolina. I don't have a bunch of, I mean, I do have a bunch of bets, but like not any that I would place right now. I mean, I'll tell you this really quick before we get into it, before we even talk about the Badgers. If you could get the under at 55, anything around 54, I would bet the under against Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo is going to be able to do much against the Badgers offensively in that game. So I like the under. And I actually think Wisconsin covers the big number too. I think they're going to kick the living shit out of Buffalo. I bet the under on Buffalo's win total, under 7. But the games I'm most excited for, South Carolina and North Carolina. I didn't bet it. Originally, I wanted to bet the over, but then it like went down 2 points. And I don't know, man. Because I'm really excited about North Carolina offensively. I think Drake May, if he's not the best quarterback, he's right next to Caleb Williams, and he'll be the number 2 quarterback taken. But they don't play any defense. In South Carolina, I bet their win total under 6.5 in the SEC. They played really good the second half of the season, but like Spencer Rattler sucked the first half of the season. I've got a big enough sample size of Spencer Rattler where maybe he ends up being an NFL quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be the quarterback he was the second half of the season. You kind of saw that against Notre Dame in that bowl game. So I didn't do anything in that game, but I can't wait to watch that just to see, Spencer Rattler, the real deal, and, Drake May against that defense. Florida State LSU is going to be awesome. The problem is, so I actually like Florida State in this game. I thought I was going to like LSU, but they're going to be without one of their running backs. They're going to be without one of their better defensive linemen who's suspended for this game for absolutely no reason. And Florida State's going to be really good this year. I bet Clemson to win the ACC because I feel like they're kind of a sleeping giant. Lincoln Riley's brothers calling plays. Cade Klubnik's the quarterback. DJU's now at Oregon State. They're going to be really good defensively. But Florida State was the only team in the country last year to lead their conference both offensively and defensively. Jordan Travis threw like 26 touchdowns to 5 picks. They bring like a bunch of guys back. Johnny Wilson. They have a 6'7" receiver, Johnny Wilson. A couple of their running backs are back. All their linemen. Defensively, they're pretty damn good. I like Mike Norvell, their coach. I think they might beat LSU. The only thing, I want to wait and see if we could get a 3. And I mean, by the time people listen to this podcast, maybe we do. But I think Florida State's live, actually, to upset LSU. Shit, they should have. That was a good game last year, but it was sloppy. Mike Norvell has played against Brian Kelly, actually, 3 times. He's covered the spread against them all 3 times. So I think Florida State might pull off the upset. But that's the game of the week. And I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of want to see that Northwestern Rutgers game that you talked about. Everybody's going to bet Rutgers thinking Northwestern's going to be absolute shit, and they are going to be absolute shit. I forgot who their head coach is already, but that's going to be like a crap fest game, standalone on a Sunday where you could be a little hungover.
Well, yeah, it's so funny. It's like
Northwestern.
There's so many games on Saturday, and then I don't remember them ever do it. Like, there's been a Sunday night game, but I don't remember them doing Sunday games like this. And the ones that they choose from, because CBS, I don't know, they didn't get an SEC game in their final year of that, but they get Northwestern Rutgers all by itself on a Sunday.
Right? I mean,
like, I still look at the schedule and be like, this got to be a typo. What the fuck is that game doing there?
I mean, other than the main event, LSU, Florida State, watching Oregon State will be fun. I bet their win total over. Oregon State might mess around and win the Pac-12 this year, man. It's funny because I like Clemson because they have Cade Klubnik, and he's an obvious upgrade, I think, over DJU. But I like DJU in that Oregon State offense. I like their head coach a lot. They should be pretty tough defensively, even though they lose a lot. So I'll be excited to watch them. Really quick, I can't wait. They're going to blow them out. I mean, I think the spread as we look right now is like 26.5, 27.5. But I really want to see what that Wisconsin offense looks like. I want to see what Tanner Mordecai looks like. I want to see Braylon Allen. I want to see what the defense looks like. Luke Fickell, year 1. I like the Badgers actually to cover the number, but I think the real play is just the under in the game. Buffalo last year went 7-6. They only bring 10 starters back. Their quarterback's back, Cole Snyder, but their offense only averaged 377 yards per game. Defensively, I think they're going to be worse than they were last year when they gave up almost 400 yards per game. Only 5 starters are back. I bet their win total under. I don't think they're going to be able to do a whole lot offensively against Wisconsin. So under 55.5. And this is like, This is the first time in a long time I've been excited about my two favorite teams going into a year. Like, Wisconsin's not going to be boring, and neither is Notre Dame. Because every fucking year, man, I'm like, all right, excited for the defense.
Big weekend.
Excited for the trenches. You know, we got a left tackle I really like, but I never get to go into a year like, oh man, they might average 40 points per game. And granted, it was Navy, but Sam Hartman looked fucking awesome, and Notre Dame's offense looked really, really good. And I think I think Wisconsin's going to be fun too. I want to see how much run and shoot we really get, and how much it's just like Braylon Allen's averaging 6 yards after the carry. Let's feed the bees. You know what I mean? Because you kind of got to stick with what's working. But it's going to be a fun year for both of those teams.
So Notre Dame does play Wake Forest this year, huh?
Yeah, revenge game for Sam Hartman. I think Wake Forest is going to be sneaky good. Everybody just expects there to be this huge drop-off. They're going to run the same mesh offense. It's just a really good program in the ACC.
Are you more interested in Pac-12 games since it's the last time we'll see some of these matchups for a long time?
I'm interested in the Pac-12 because it's a really good conference this year. It sucks it's going to be the last year because you look at Oregon, they have Bo Nix. He completed over 70% of his passes, had his best year as a college quarterback. He's going to be a Heisman candidate. That's my pick to win the Pac-12. You look at like Oregon's last 3 head coaches. They always have a monster second year. I like Dan Lanning. My only concern would be they lost their OC, Kenny Dillingham, and he actually recruited Bo Nix to Auburn, knows him really well. Bo Nix had his best year, but they should be fine. USC has Caleb Williams. Washington has Michael Penix. They were the number 2 passing offense in the country. I love their play caller, Kalen DeBoer. What blows for them is they lost their stud running back already before week 1. That's why I'm excited. The quarterback play in the Pac-12 is going to be ridiculously good, and you can make the case for like 5 or 6 teams. Fuck. Even UCLA, man, like they lost DTR, who I love. I want to see him take Deshaun Watson's job in Cleveland so bad. They lose Zach Charbonnet, but like their quarterback, Dante Moore, I think he ends up ultimately being the starter. They're going to play all 3 quarterbacks this weekend. He's a true freshman 5-star. I think he's going to be not an upgrade over DTR, but I think he's really good. And then they lose Charbonnet, but they bring in this running back, Carson Steele, who scored double-digit touchdowns last year. They have their best defense they've had since Chip Kelly's taken over. They could be a surprise team. Pac-12 is going to be fun. There's a lot of talent there.
Should I buy a blue check mark on Twitter?
I was thinking about this only because, did you know you can't send direct messages? Like I'm in like these like little betting communities, and sometimes I have a question about something, or if I'm trying to like book a guest for my own Saturday show, I can't direct message people anymore without it. That's the only reason I would buy it.
Well, if he's giving out money.
Who, Elon?
Yeah.
Oh, he is?
Well, you get paid
or whatever.
Yeah. I've just been so anti it. It'd be like I said the other day, it'd be like if all of a sudden I came on one day and said, "Guys, breaking news, I'm the executive producer of the Steve Zabin show." I'd be like, what the fuck? That's hypocritical.
I mean, I could see it though. It wouldn't stop.
Well, I don't have a job, so I guess I wouldn't turn it down. I have COVID.
I heard doesn't Zabe have a new co-host? Isn't Brian Butch his co-host now?
Yeah, Butchie. I like Butch.
Me too. You gonna listen to that show though?
I got too much Marvel to watch to be listening to much stuff.
Here's my question about Wisconsin sports radio, and I'm not going to shit on anybody.
Well, you gotta be careful. I gotta be careful what I say since I don't work anywhere, but they all control my.
I live in Washington D.C. and I'm a Cub fan. I could probably talk more Brewer baseball than anybody not named Bill Schmid, Tim Allen that's on the airwaves. And I know
Bryce Harper said he had a home run for a caller. That would never happen here.
And I know goddamn well nobody could talk Wisconsin Badgers with me, which always pissed me off when I was working in Milwaukee, though, because nobody cares.
These guys all know Badgers. That's like their second. That's all they know.
Who?
They know enough people know Badgers around here.
Disagree.
Well, it's because you don't have a lot. Like you know what? You generally don't have.
I forget like a lot of people that are even on the air, to be honest. So
right. This is what I'll say about like.
I was thinking more.
This is not a critique. This is just a fact. Okay, so don't hold this against me. But
knows it.
There aren't a lot of people on Milwaukee radio that are Brewers fans or are Bucks fans. They either have their own team or they just don't give a shit about those sports at all. So that's what the problem is.
I don't know if I'm buying that, though.
Well, I am.
I think who's not a Brewers fan that's on the air talking Brewers, though?
Well, like these guys are either from Illinois or whatever, or they're so deep in the Packers they don't care about nothing else.
I feel like that's just me. That you're just
except for the 1 month every year where Clemens goes super beat reporter on the Brewers. I enjoy that month.
Yeah. Amy was in the front row.
Front row Amy. 5'6", 145 pounds, although probably not the measurements you care about.
Amy was seen with a bag of popcorn. Yeah, I mean, remember when he would do that? That'd be weird. Like all of a sudden, and it would be like, no offense. It would just be like the most obvious shit too. It'd be like Ryan Braun homers to give the Brewer, and it would always be like
Mill 7, ARI 5.
No, it'd be like, and God bless, like, thank God for Chuck, because we would hire these fucking producers and they do the updates, and they would be like, the Brewers, oh man, what they would do is they would be like, the Packers lost 14-36, but they wouldn't say the winning team always has to go first. You say like Packers.
No, that was Mandela's big thing.
And Chuck would and I would like shit about it. And I would go to like the program directors and people would be like, Ryan, it's not that big of a deal. And I'd be like, it is.
It is a big deal.
And Chuck would be like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what is going on?
Lost 3-7. No, they didn't. They lost 7-3.
Exactly. And it was like, so like, thank God for that. But yeah, I forgot why I got on that, to be honest with you. But that was always a mess.
I think the biggest crime for anyone that was a producer there was how much shit you had to do on the website. Because nobody went there.
Yeah, like I'm not a fucking author. I would always say I'm not R.L. Stine. It would be like, hey, did you put up a Brewers story? And I'd be like, no. And I'd be like, what do you want me to do? Just like tag McKelvey's fucking work to our front page? Isn't that
like when I want to know something about the Brewers?
And they would want me to like write to do a write up of the game, and I'd be like, no.
If I want to know something about the Brewers, I think of the newspaper, I think of the Brewers, I think of blog sites. The last thing I think of for where I'm going to get a written article about the game that's going to tell me something that's not just like sort of plagiarized from another site is a radio station's website.
Dude, I love Sparky, but he was the fucking worst with it too. I would get home. Hold on. Oh, this is the best story. I'll never forget. I almost just like quit radio. I get home. It's a Friday. Tired as shit. And I'm getting ready to take my nap. And I get a text message. And it's like, oh, the Bucks Jabari Parker signed with the Bulls. Did you put a story up? And I'm like, no. Let the next guy do it. Oh, it happened during your shift. I had to go back into the damn studio to put up a story about Jabari Parker playing for the Bulls, which lasted like 3 weeks? Like 3.5 weeks. I'll never forget the Bulls on Twitter were like, thank you, Jabari. I'm like, what the fuck are you thanking him for? The first quote was, I'm not going to play defense. I just want to go out there and just get buckets. But that's how crazy they were with this website. How many people that day do you think were like, oh, fuck, Jabari signed with the Bulls. Got to go to 12:50 a.m. The Fan and see what Horvat wrote about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why don't we hire? I would always say, why don't we hire actual writers? I'm not a writer. I do radio. I'm
trying to see if the story's still up. I can't find it.
Oh, and then you'd have to post a picture, and I'd have to use your login. I'd be like, Bart, can I use your log? Like, what a fucking pain in the ass, dude. I mean, it's not like I was like climbing on roofs or like, like doing siding or like solving crimes. I'm not like a scientist. Like I haven't I like my job. I love sports. But when I'm cropping USA Today photos of Jabari Parker, Dante DiVincenzo signs a 1-year extension. Thanasis signs a 1 year. And I'm just like, did you get the Thanasis story up? No, I didn't. Okay. I went home and had sex.
You didn't do that either.
For myself.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that
Thanks, man.
note, we will do picks every week, and we will include the Thursday games.
Hell yeah, all games.
And I thank you for your time, graciously giving it to me.
Hey, you're welcome. And yeah, man, have a good weekend. Here, actually, before I go, let me make sure I didn't forget anything for the people. I bet Colorado State this weekend against Washington State.
What is Colorado going to cover the 20?
I bet. Well, they could. I bet TCU when it was at 18. I'd probably still bet TCU. I think TCU is going to kick the crap out of them. I don't think Colorado's.
They're like hyping up. The reason people are going to watch is to see Dion, and then Colorado's going to get the shit kicked out of them.
The Corey Graves promo for that. Did you see that online by chance? Where he can't get through it? What was it, Corey? I want to say it was like Corey Graves. There's this promo, and it's like Dion's like leading some horses, and he's like, leading the. You got to actually check it out. I'll try to send it. I'll try to tweet it out. All right, man. One team, one dream. Have a great weekend. Go Pack, go. Go Badgers. Jump around. Go Notre Dame Fighting Irish. More importantly, though, go Colorado State this weekend.